The work and procedures shown and described in this videotape are intended for people having a fundamental understanding and familiarity with the subject presented in this program. Every possible circumstance that might involve potential hazard could not have been anticipated in the production of this program. The warnings and safety suggestions in this videotape are not inclusive of every situation. You must satisfy yourself that the operations and procedures you use in your situation are safe for you and people around you. Before operating any equipment, review the machine owner manual and become totally familiar with the controls and safety procedures for that particular machine. The makers of this videotape disclaim any liability for injury or damage arising out of attempts to perform the work or procedures shown and described in this videotape. If other materials are used, such as fuels, lubricants, cleaners, or chemicals, precautions for handling should be obtained from container labeling. This program is not a substitute for the owner or operator manual supplied with the machine. Remember, as always, consult your supervisor if you have any questions when operating equipment.
Hi, I'm Paul Latshaw. Golf course maintenance entails many jobs that require various levels of skills. Cup changing is an extremely important job. There are so many variables, such as who is playing today, are they professionals, what golf outings are scheduled, what is the green speed, how many players are expected, and so forth. The cup changer determines how difficult the course will play that day. For example, cup locations near undulations on fast greens can make a very difficult round of golf. Perfectly maintained greens can be severely criticized by golfers under such conditions. We prepared this tape to help make this assignment easier and to help you keep the golfer happy. Remember, the golfer is our employer. To demonstrate the step-by-step details of cup changing, we're going to join a superintendent I have a lot of respect for, Darren Davis, of Old Florida Golf Club.
In the game of golf, the hole is completed when the player putts the ball into the hole. By definition, the hole on a putting green is circular with a diameter of 4.25 inches. A metal or plastic cup is inserted into this hole. USGA rules require that the top of the cup rest 1 inch beneath the putting surface. The greens on the golf course are usually what most golfers will remember and most often judge the course on. This is why it is critical to correctly place the cup into the green every time. The frequency that the cup is changed will vary at each course. Often it is done every day. The frequency depends on the amount of play the course receives, the wear tolerance of the turf grass, and the anticipated recovery time. It is also changed so that the golfer gets a different view of the golf hole each time he plays. Many different cup changing procedures have evolved through experience on individual golf courses. Following is a detailed step-by-step guideline of a commonly used approach.
If possible, the cup should be changed after the green has been mowed, so that the last maintenance practice that takes place prior to the golfer walking on the green is the placement of the cup. The reason is to ensure that the mower does not damage the hole that the golfer is going to use that day. Check with your supervisor regarding this policy on your golf course. Locate the correct location on the green. Some golf courses use a chart to rotate the cup placement around the green. Some courses use systems, such as 6 holes have the pin placed in the front, 6 have it placed in the middle, and 6 have it placed in the back of the green. and others place the pin according to where the T markers are placed. Once you've identified the correct location, do a visual check of the surrounding area, where the cup is to be placed, to ensure there is no damage that would affect the golfer's play. Place the cup in a smooth, flat area. It's recommended that the pin be placed on a smooth, level area. According to USGA recommendations, the area around the hole should be even at least 3 feet around the hole. The hole should also be 5 paces from the edge of the green. The cup should be placed several feet away from the previous day's pin placement, so the area has time to recover. Also, if the outline of a plug is still visible, do not attempt to place the pin directly in the same location. The grass must be allowed to knit together first. When deciding where to place the pin on the green, think about the location from a golfer's point of view. The ball should be able to come to a stop at or around the pin when a putt is struck properly by the golfer. Most cup-cutting devices have an adjustable stopping point that should be set so that the hole is cut to the proper depth so that the cup can be placed without needing to add or delete a lot of soil. The cup cutter should be inserted vertically into the putting surface and inserted the full depth of the cup cutter until it reaches the adjustable stopping point. The cup cutter should be inserted as smoothly as possible so that the plug is not damaged. When inserting the tool, try to keep the device as straight as possible so the cup will be perpendicular to the surface and the pin will be straight. A little trick that can be used to ensure the cup cutter is going in straight is to insert the cup cutter in halfway, step back a few paces, and look to make sure it is still perfectly vertical to the putting surface. If the cup cutter is still straight, step back up to the device and continue cutting the new hole. 2 cuts may be required in certain dense clay soils. A 2-piece method will be discussed later in this video. When removing the plug, pull it out smoothly and slowly, taking care not to crown or disrupt the putting surface. The plug should remain in the cup-cutting device until it is ready to be inserted into the old hole. The cup cutter should always have a sharp edge on the cutting portion of the device so that the plug is cut crisp and clean. If sharpening is needed, see your equipment manager or supervisor for the correct method of sharpening the tool. Before we go into the placement of the plug into the old hole, let's place the cup and pin into the new position. The cup should be carefully removed from the old hole, either by hand or with a specially designed tool. Never use the pin to pull the cup out or pry it out of the hole. This could damage the pin or the surrounding turf. The cup should be rinsed or wiped clean prior to inserting it into the new hole. Once the cup is in the hole, it should then be set to the proper depth using the cup setter. Insert the tool into the hole, resting on the top lip of the cup, and push down on the cup smoothly and gently. Do not force the cup into the soil beneath. If necessary, remove some of the soil and reinsert the cup. If this is a frequent occurrence, check the adjustment on the cup cutting device and adjust if necessary. Remember, the depth of the cup should be a consistent 1 inch beneath the surface of the green. This tool also ensures that the area surrounding the new pin position is level. This is very important, so that a golfer's ball being putted into the hole is not influenced by any slight unevenness in the green around the cup. Now that the cup has been set to the proper depth, the pin is ready to be inserted. The pin should also be wiped clean daily. This will help ensure that the pin does not become jammed in the cup, making it difficult for the golfer to remove. When inserting the pin, it is important that the bottom of the pin is not forcing soil into the hole in the cup. If the hole in the cup is not clean of all soil, it should be removed and cleaned. Very important, if the pin is not perfectly straight, it should not be tapped, kicked, or forced in any way to become straight. Trying to force the pin can cause several problems. 1. It will damage sensitive roots if it jams the cup sideways. 2nd, it normally will result in a loose cup in the green. Finally, trying to force the cup to move in the soil could result in a crowned or uneven putting surface. If it is really crooked, then the cup should be reset in a new location. Now, to set the new plug into the previous hole. The plug is inserted into the old hole. It is important to place the new plug into the old hole at the same depth so that the surface of the turf is level. If minor changes in elevation are needed, a little soil should be added or removed. Each course has a different policy on what type of material should be added if needed. Generally, it is the same soil that is in the existing green. However, check with your supervisor for the correct material. If the plug is replaced too low, it will cause the ball to bounce when the ball is putted over the area. More importantly, if the plug is too high, the turf will be scalped when the green is mowed. This will cause an ugly brown spot on the green and possibly kill the turf grass. Getting the plug level with the surface is a feel thing. It will take practice to be perfect. Perfection is a must in this process, and there is little room for error. Quality should take priority over speed. A high plug should never be forced down or stomped down. It might result in a temporary level surface, but chances are, once the area becomes moist, it will swell, resulting in a high plug anyway. Another method of replacing the plug is often referred to as the two-piece method. With the two-piece method, soil is added to the old hole without the plug attached. The amount of soil added depends on the thickness of the plug that will be placed on top. The soil is compacted with a stick or the empty cup cutter to help prevent settling. The plug is then shaved or cut to a depth that will fill the remainder of the hole. The depth of the plug is then checked against the depth of the hole. If adjustments are needed to make the plug level, they should be made now. The plug is then placed into the hole. No matter which method you use, the newly placed plug should be felt with your foot to ensure the plug is even with the surrounding area. Use the normal weight of your foot to simulate a golfer stepping on it. The plug should not sink under your weight and should feel level with the surrounding area. Once the cup is level, a ball mark repair tool or knife should be used to knit the plug into the surrounding turf grass. The newly placed plug should then be watered with a can that you brought with you. This will decrease the time it will take the area to heal. Finally, before exiting the green, make a quick visual inspection of the green, especially around the newly placed cup. If time allows, fix any noticeable ball marks that are in the area of the new cup. Ball marks or other obvious surface disruptions might affect the golfer's ball as he puts it into the hole. If your course uses different color flags or some other method of indicating the pin's location on the green, check to see that you have completed this task properly. Also, look around for any high or low plugs that might have been overlooked on a previous day. These can be adjusted by inserting the cup cutter into the old plug, removing it, and adding or deleting a little soil from the hole. If the plug has been damaged by a mower, it's a good practice to take this plug to the edge of the putting surface and replace it with a good plug of turf grass from the edge. The damaged plug is less likely to affect play on the edge than if it is in its original position on the putting surface. And, as always, if anything looks irregular or odd to you on the greens or the putting surface, let your supervisor know immediately.
Remember, if anything in this video contradicts what you have been taught previously, check with your supervisor for clarification. When ball marks are found, it is very important to fix them correctly. A correctly fixed ball mark will leave little sign of damage once it has been fixed. The way we show our guys at Old Florida to fix ball marks is like this. A new ball mark can easily be fixed by gently squeezing in from the rear of the ball mark. If needed, it can also be squeezed in gently from the side. Then, gently push down and make sure the surface is level. It's complete now, and there's little signs of damage. Now to show you an improperly fixed ball mark. A ball mark was made here, and someone has inserted a tool and pulled up from the bottom, causing the dirt to be brought to the surface. This will cause a problem tomorrow morning when the mowers come through, and it will be scalped. Now this is a ball mark which is improperly repaired, and the mower has come through and scalped the ball mark. The good thing is a proper trained employee can fix this mark still, by taking the tool, inserting it into the dead spot, twisting, and removing the dead material, which is often called coring. Place your finger into the hole and tuck in the sides. Now the ball mark can be brought in from two sides, and virtually the entire dead spot is now gone, and green grass is once again on the turf.
Bunkers can be an intricate part of the game of golf. Some courses have become famous because of their bunkering. Today's golfer demands consistency when playing bunker shots. This can make bunker maintenance difficult. Do the players want firm sand or do they want loose sand? Many variables are involved. What is your response when your supervisor says, "Today, I would like you to rake bunkers"? Do you say to yourself, "What have I done wrong to deserve this job"? In many situations, this is a normal response. Why? Bunker maintenance can be a hot, physical, demanding job. Sun glare from the sand can make it very uncomfortable. Inexperienced maintenance workers may not realize how important a job it is. It is extremely important that it be done properly. Bunker maintenance can be rewarding. A nicely raked bunker can be attractive and enhance the beauty of the golf course. Plus, it will help keep our golfers happy.
Golf course architects strategically place sand bunkers on a golf course to add aesthetic pleasure as well as an added challenge to the round of golf. Although the bunkers represent a very small portion of the total golf course playing area, they can be a golfer's worst nightmare because hitting the ball from the bunker is a tough shot requiring a lot of skill for the average golfer. Therefore, a properly maintained bunker that will provide the golfer with a predictable, consistent surface is very important. The surface of the sand should be smooth and free of any mounds or holes, giving the golfer as much control of the outcome of his shot as possible. Also, if the golfer hits a shot from a well-maintained bunker, the golfer is more likely to take the time to return the sand back to the pristine state it was in prior to him playing from it.
The primary maintenance practice associated with bunkers is raking to maintain a smooth, consistent, predictable surface. Sand traps are raked either with mechanical sand trap rakes or with hand rakes. Some clubs choose to hand rake all their bunkers. Others choose to use a mechanical rake. But some bunkers are designed with steep faces, are narrow or too small to be raked with a mechanical trap rake. So in these cases, a hand rake must be used. We'll discuss the method of mechanical raking first. In traps where they can be used efficiently, Mechanical sand trap rakes require less labor and, if operated correctly, will provide good sand playing conditions. There are two basic types of mechanical sand rakes. On one, the operator manually lowers and raises the rear rake attachment. On the other, a hydraulic lift system lowers and raises the rakes. As always, prior to leaving the maintenance facility, the operator should perform all the pre-start procedures as directed by a supervisor. This includes an overall visual inspection to look for any obvious damage or leaks, checking the engine oil and hydraulic fluid, and checking the tire pressure. Paying close attention to avoid disturbing golfers who might already be playing, the machine should then be transported safely to the assigned sand bunkers. Upon arriving at the trap, bring the machine to a complete stop on a level surface. If the machine is not a hydrostatic drive unit, set the parking brake. First, visually inspect the trap. Any debris, such as pine cones, pine needles, leaves, and so forth, should be removed prior to raking the trap. If hand rakes are left in the trap for golfer use, they should also be removed at this time. Make a mental note if there are not enough rakes, if the rakes are damaged, or if they're in poor condition. This information should be relayed to a supervisor as soon as possible. Also, take a minute to pull any weeds that are in the sand bunker. Once the trap is clear of debris, start the machine and drive into the trap. Some bunkers are designed with steep faces and can pose a risk to the operator trying to enter or exit from these steep slopes. Avoid these dangerous areas and enter from a safe location. The point of entry and exit should be changed daily so that a path is not worn in the turf. After carefully entering the bunker, lower the rear rake attachment. Drive the trap rake, with the rakes in the lowered position, around the trap in a circular, overlapping pattern. A precise circular pattern should be followed, paying close attention not to miss any areas. Misses or skips will result in an inconsistent playing surface. The mechanical trap rake should be driven slowly and smoothly, avoiding any sharp turns. Sharp turns will result in a mound of sand or a rut left by the tire of the trap machine, creating the potential for an uneven or bad lie for the golfer. The rear rake attachment should be kept several inches away from the lip of the bunker so that it will not damage the turf or the machine. Many sand traps are constructed with a system of gravel drainage lines and/or woven liners. The rake attachment should not be allowed to dig in too deeply. Rakes that are set too low can tear the liner or stir gravel up to the surface. Also, excessive sand can be moved around the trap, resulting in an uneven playing surface. Once the entire trap has been raked, and prior to exiting the trap, the rear rake attachment should be lifted. If any sand remains on the rake attachment after it's been lifted, the rake should be lowered and raised several times until the sand is shaken loose. The operator should smooth out any mound of sand left in the bunker by this process. When all the sand has been smoothed and the machine has exited the trap, the operator must rake the edges of the trap by hand, generally using a leaf rake. Sand on the faces, the edges of the bunker, tends to work downward into the base of the bunker because of rain, irrigation, wind, and golfers. Therefore, the sand around the edges is often pulled up when the operator is hand raking the edges. When raking the sand in an upward motion, be careful not to pull excess sand onto the turf grass surrounding the bunker. Many courses like to have a lip around the bunker, and continually raking the edges upward would result in an excess amount of sand around the edges. If this occurs, the edges should be raked in a downward motion from inside the trap. Since the operator will be walking on the sand inside the trap to do this procedure, it should be done prior to the raking of the trap. Some golf courses also rotate the days, raking up one day and down the next, in an attempt to keep a consistent amount of sand around the edges of the bunker. The procedure for the opposite or backside of a bunker is different than for the front. When raking the edges on the side away from the line of play, the sand should be pulled up even with the turf-soil interface. Even if a lip on the front side of the bunker is desired, the backside is treated differently. A lip on the rear of the bunker can result in a difficult lie for the golfer whose ball comes to rest in this location. After exiting the bunker and driving on the turf grass for a few feet, the bunker technician should check behind him to see if any sand has been transported to the turf by the machine. If it has, a rake should be used to remove the sand from the turf. Also, before leaving the sand bunker, make sure you have returned all the rakes to their correct location, as instructed by your supervisor. Every golf course has a unique golfing clientele, with different ideas about the perfect surface for a sand bunker. However, most would agree that a relatively smooth, consistent surface is most desirable. Your supervisor will show you what type of rake is used on your golf course. The first step in hand raking the bunker is to walk the trap, removing any debris. This includes pine cones, pine needles, leaves, etc. These should be removed prior to raking the trap so that the rake does not drag them through the sand, resulting in an inconsistent surface. If rakes are left in the trap for golfer use, these should also be removed at this time. Make a mental note if there are not enough rakes, if the rakes are damaged, or if they're in poor condition. This information should be relayed to a supervisor as soon as possible. Also, take a minute to pull any weeds that are in the sand bunker. Hand raking involves a forward and back movement of the rake as you move laterally to the left or right. Take care not to leave ridges at the start or end of each stroke. The bunker can be raked from side to side or end to end. Often, the direction of this pattern is rotated daily to avoid leaving any undulations or waves in the trap. Hand raking should be performed smoothly and slowly. Rapid or erratic movements with the rake tend to leave the surface uneven. The rake should be moved gently across the surface, not digging too deep, to prevent excessive sand from being moved from one area to another. Maintenance employees must take responsibility for reporting any irregularities they see to their supervisor, such as gravel from drainage lines. When all of the sand in the base of the trap has been raked, the edges should be raked. Sand on the faces or edges of the bunker tends to work downward into the base of the bunker because of rain, irrigation, wind, and golfers. Therefore, the sand around the edges is often pulled up when hand raking the edges. When raking the sand in an upward motion, be careful not to pull excess sand onto the turf grass surrounding the bunker. However, for courses that like to have a lip around the bunker, continually raking the edges upward would result in an excess amount of sand around the edges. If this occurs, the edges should be raked in a downward motion from inside the trap. Since the operator will be walking in the trap to do this, this procedure should be done prior to raking the bunker surface. Some golf courses also rotate the days, raking up one day and down the next, to keep a consistent amount of sand around the edges of the bunker. The procedure for the opposite or backside of a bunker is different than for the front of the bunker. When raking the edges on the side away from the line of play, the sand should be pulled up even with the turf-soil interface. Even if a lip on the front side of the bunker is desired, the backside is treated differently. A lip on the rear of the bunker can result in a difficult lie for the golfer whose ball comes to rest in this location. Also, Before leaving the sand bunker, make sure you have returned all the rakes to their correct location as instructed by your supervisor.
Remember, if anything in this video contradicts what you have been taught previously, check with your supervisor for clarification.